Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about Primarchs. Well, really not really Primarchs. Well, we are going to talk about Primarchs. We're going to talk about the lost Primarchs, but more or less we're going to focus on their legions as a whole. What happened to their legions? We have a little bit of evidence in the Solar War book, and I just want to make a video based on that because I personally think that the legions from the two lost Primarchs are still around today. So let's jump in and let's get started. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this quote, and this is taken from the Solar War book itself. For those of you who are not aware, the Solar War is the Horus Heresy Siege of Terror series. It's only just started. Well, I say it's only just started, but on book 2 at the moment. Book 3 is about to hit very, very soon. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then you may want to stop the video, skip over this bit, or basically just turn the video off, because we're actually going to be discussing this quote a bit more in depth throughout the full video. So this is Malka Door talking to Rogel Dawn. The loss of the 2nd and the 11th was such a wound upon us, and it threatened the ideas at the heart of the Great Crusade. It would have ruined all that we had built in the drive to reunite humanity and drive off our enemies. Steps had to be taken. He met Dawn's hard gaze. The Legionnaires they left behind, leaderless and forsaken, were too great of a resource to be discarded out of hand. They did not share the fate of their fathers. You and Rebute argued in their favour, but you do not recall it. Malka Door nodded to himself. It fell to me to see that they were attuned to new circumstances. Now, we all know that there's a lot of mystery surrounding the two lost Primarchs. In some cases, it's mentioned that they, one of them may have dabbled with some Xenos tech. In other cases, people are saying that maybe one of the loyalist Primarchs, aka Lehman Russ, was sent to kill one of them. Again, that is not confirmed. You can't really confirm or deny really anything with the lost Primarchs because it's in the name. They are the lost Primarchs. It's up to GW what goes on with them. GW always puts little teasers in there, just like the passage we've just read, but I personally don't think they will ever bring a lost Primarch back because it's just too mysterious, and they always want something for you as a player to build that mysterious kind of Space Marine force upon. This is why you see people who go in and make like a lost Primarch force, and I think I saw one guy who did like a kind of samurai type kind of thing, and they look fantastic. That's what GW really wants you to do. So on the whole, as Primarchs coming back from the Lost Legions, I don't think we'll ever see that. Now, with the Legionnaires, it is a complete different tale because, as the quote states, they did not share the same fate of their fathers. Now, we know the Emperor is this massive, powerful being, which power is, you can't really explain it how bloody powerful the Emperor is, but he has the power to basically to make things disappear. And when I mean disappear, like he can erase your memory. It's happened on before. I remember the case where Horus had his mind wiped at a certain situation. I think he went through like a kind of a portal in the Horus Heresy, and apparently Jagatai Khan was there, and a few other Primarchs were there as well. So he can wipe people's minds. And as the quote states, when all this happened, whatever happened with the lost Primarchs, Dawn and Guilliman argued in the favour of the Legionnaires to keep them around. Their resources are too great. So when this did happen, Dawn and Rebute were around. That was confirmed in this passage, and of course, whatever happened after that, or whatever happened with the lost Primarchs, the Emperor chose to erase that memory from not only the Legionnaires' mind, but from the Primarchs' mind as well. Now, one of the biggest theories about what happened to the Lost Legionnaires is probably one of the simplest ones you can ever come up with, is that they basically got reorganized into other legions, aka the Ultramarines, because they had a huge number of Legionnaires in their legion. I think at the max they had 250,000. Because I think I remember in one of the Horus Heresy books, I read that they had 25 chapter masters, and the way it worked back in the Horus Heresy days is that you had a chapter master for every 10,000 Marines. So, that makes 250,000 Marines. So they had a lot of Legionnaires, and if you compare that to like the Space Wolves, who, they they had a fair number, but it was nowhere near the Ultramarines, you know, the Thousand Sons, again, a fair number, but nowhere near that of the Ultramarines. I personally think that if this did happen and they did put them into certain legions, then they would have to pick a Pacific legion to put them in. And what I mean by that is that if you put them into the Thousand Sons, that might be a bit too risky, because those chaps with all their mind sorcery and stuff, maybe they could try and find a way to break round or go round like this memory loss kind of wall that the Emperor put in someone's head, or, you know, something like that. Or when you take the Space Wolves, for example, one of the cool things about the Space Wolves is that when the Alpha Legion tried to like infiltrate the Space Wolves, they basically smell them out like dogs. There was a really cool scene, I forget what book it is, I think it's called The Serpent something, and there was loads of these Alpha Legionnaires dressed as Space Wolves, and they tried to infiltrate like this wolf squad, and they basically just sniff them and say, hey, they don't smell like dogs, kill them all, they're the bad guys, and they just butcher the entire squad. So when it comes to certain legions, I think the Emperor would have to avoid the ones which could, you know, cause problems. This is why I think that the Ultramarines are probably the bog standard legion where most of them went to, because they are a very generic chapter. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I know I give the Ultramarines and their fans a lot of stick, but at the end of the day, it's just banter. We all love each other at the end of the day. But really, they're like the Mary Sues. They're plain, the plain Janes. We wear blue armor, we march from a crag, and we purge in the Emperor's name. Where, you know, again, the Space Wolves, they have some, you know, weird ways about them. The Thousand Sons have some weird ways about them. The Night Lords, the Salamanders, of course, they all have a certain aspect to them that makes them stand out from the good old generic Space Marine. And again, that goes with really the Imperial Fist, because just like the Ultramarines, we are kind of, I won't say generic. We stand out because we are excellent at building walls. But when it comes to, like, you know, differences in characters, really, we don't really have that thing that, you know, makes us different, like the Space Wolves and the Salamanders and stuff like that. So I still see the main one as the Ultramarines that they went to, but the Imperial Fists were also the go-to legion as well. And as you can see from the quote that Malka Door spoke, it was Rabute and Dawn that argued in favour of the legions to be used. So it would make sense for Malka Door to put them into their legions the most and use them in their crusades to unite humanity in the Great Crusade. Now, just join me for a second as we explore one of the maddest theories about all this. And I don't believe this for a second, because it doesn't make sense at all. But someone said to me that Sigismund is not really Dawn's son. He's not really Dawn's Jean's son. In one of the conversations that Sigismund had, because for those of you who don't know, Sigismund was supposed to lead the fleet, the Retribution fleet, at the Battle of the Thal system when the Iron Warriors took over. That was supposed to be Sigismund at the head instead. It was Pollux, and Pollux spanked a Primarch, spanked the Iron Warriors, absolutely embarrassed them, even though they were outnumbered. Their fleet was bruised up, and they were ambushed. So, yeah, really, it all worked out as it should be. But Dawn learned that Sigismund heard from a certain religious figure that if he was to go to the Thal system, that he would die. And Sigismund chose not to, because he wanted to be at Dawn's side at the Siege of Terror. And Dawn was furious about this. There's actually a little conversation where Sigismund is like, yes, father. And he's like, I am not your father. And a lot of people have taken this like, oh my god, you know, Dawn is actually not Sigismund's dad. He means it in the literal sense. I am not your father. You came from another legion. Maybe that's what he meant. But that doesn't make sense for me, because that means Dawn would have remembered getting his mind wiped, or do you know what I mean? He would have remembered what happened with Malka Door and stuff like that. And in the passage of text that was at the beginning of this video, clearly states that Dawn is just learning of it as Malka Door's talking it back to him. You have to really read the book. I've only took a little short sentence out, but Dawn didn't know about it, and he starts to remember and stuff like that, and that's where that passage is from. So again, for those people who keep sending me that Sigismund is not really Dawn's son, it's all heresy. Don't believe the hype. He is 100% Dawnian, and he is the best Sigismund in the world. Simple. But that doesn't mean that there isn't Sons of Dawn who are not really Sons of Dawn. And I think that we've seen this already. Again, join me as we go down the rabbit hole. But I think the Soul Drinkers were a part of this Lost Legions becoming Sons of Dawn and not really Sons of Dawn. Because if you don't know, for those of you who haven't read the Soul Drinkers, it's an amazing series. You should read it. But at the end of it, it basically comes out that their gene heritage is not that of Rogel Dawn's. They're looking for like this, I think it's a spear if I'm not mistaken, and I think it's gene locked. And when they come to ungene lock it, it gets back to them that their gene does not belong to Rogel Dawn. So I think maybe that could be one of the instances that we've actually seen. Now, there's another instance which is really kind of recent as well, which is the White Templars. These were always known as Sons of Dawn, but if you check the main rulebook for Space Marines now, apparently they have been shaken to their core as they've learned that they do not descend from Rogel Dawn, and they've gone on a crusade of or something like that to try and recover who is their gene father. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm wondering maybe if it harkens back to the Lost Legions, where these were part of these Lost Primarchs, and the consequences of that is starting to happen in this era of Warhammer, rather than, of course, the Horus Heresy and stuff like that. So, again, there's some evidence out there that this could possibly have happened, and possibly that the two Lost Legions were put into chapters like the Ultramarines and the Imperial Fist. I don't know any circumstances where it may have popped up in the Ultramarines. I don't really read their lore as much as the Imperial Fist lore, but if anyone knows anything like that, then I would love to hear it in the comment section and have a little discussion about it down there. The only other explanation is that they basically just killed them all. They killed the two Lost Legions. They just went to town on them. They butchered them, massacred them, and that was the end of that. They basically got Thunder Warriored. That's it. But again, the quote states that they were too much of a resource. I personally don't believe that at all. If I was to go with anything and choose a path, what happened to the two Lost Legions, that they just got inducted into the normal legions, and that was that the Emperor did his mind boogaloo thing on the Primarchs. They forgot about everything, and that was it. That was the end of it. Everything just carried on as usual. No questions asked. Forward we go. Alright, Chaperonios, that is me done for another video. I'd love to know what you think happened to the two Lost Legionnaires, not the Primarchs, because again, we could be all day with bloody that. What happened to them? What happened to the two Lost Legionnaires? That is it. What do you think? Do you think they got inducted, like I said? Do you think they got purged? Do you think the Emperor, stuck doll heads on him and had them inside his palace to play with? I don't know, bloody know. Leave it down below in the comment section, and we can have a nice little chat about it down there as always. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you now, and bye-bye.